Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Great evening. Fantastic evening. How are you? Everybody that's on Facebook, guess who this is? This is your favorite, favorite Ruby Girl K. And guess what? I have another live broadcast from you coming all the way from your favorite place, the Ruby Girl Land. So, hey, I have a fantastic guest. Just because you do not see her mean that she is not going to be here. She is coming in live in just a few minutes, but I just want to get started and welcome everyone to the Ruby Girl Talk. Tonight, my special guest is Liddy Pearson. Liddy owns a staffing company. It's called Pearson Workforce Solutions. So I am really excited to talk to her because I've never met anyone that owned a staffing agency. And so me and her, we had the most interesting conversation while we were on the phone, but I can't wait to share this with you. So if you're watching this video, what I really need you to do is just share it, because sharing is what, everybody? Sharing is caring. It shows that you care not only about me, but about who else can watch this video. And so what she has to say tonight is a workplace conversation that has been needed to be had a long time ago, a real workplace conversation, not what we expect the workplace to be like, but what it really is. And it has changed so much even before COVID, but COVID put a whole new spin to the workforce. And so before I introduce her, I'm going to do my commercial. So I am Kay. I am the owner of His Designs LLC. My brand is Ruby Girl. Ruby Girl comes from Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above the price of a ruby. So, ladies, they make you rare, valuable, and virtuous. And it's all written in the word. And so go to rubygirl.net, get your Ruby Girl gear. Look, soldiers wear uniform. Ruby girls wear their Ruby Girl t-shirt. And so the shirt of the month, it was pink camouflage from last month. I only have a few sizes out there, but they're on sale, down from $40 to $25. You don't get the story, you don't get the socks, but you do get the shirt. So tonight, like I said, Liddy Pearson is here, and we don't want to delay the time. Miss Liddy, how are you doing? You on mute.
I am so good. Thank you for having me, Ruby Girl. That's great. What the backstory is on that. So thank you so much for having me, Miss Karen. I definitely appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. I'm so glad that you're here with us tonight. And like me and her, we had technical difficulties coming on. So we were like, this is about to be a great talk. This is something somebody really needs to hear. So if you hear like a background noise, just be patient. Get the message. Block the noise, but get the message, y'all. Okay. All right. Miss Liddy, I would love for you to introduce yourself to the audience. Tell them who you are, what you do.
Yes. My name is Liddy. I will go by Liddy, but my first name is R. Lydian. If you ever see that on my social medias, that's still me. And I have Pearson Workforce Solutions and Career Growth Academy. Now, they are two in the same for me. What we do at Pearson Workforce Solutions is we help bridge the gap in communication between the candidate and the employer with professional development, career support, and the recruiting that is all associated with it. So we help job seekers get from point A to point Z in their process with my services. I love working with individuals who are interested in developing themselves out. They're learners. They are their growth mindsets. They are leaders in their organizations, and so those are the type of individuals that I love working with in getting them to that next level in their career. Yeah.
That's wonderful, Liddy. That is wonderful because, sometimes we think as employees we don't need that help, but these days you need that help because jobs are requiring certifications. Their requirements to get a job is higher now, where before you might have, they were always looking to entry level jobs. Entry level jobs are kind of falling away now. They're requiring almost out of high school, you need a master's almost, those high school jobs, those jobs for the low skilled workers and everything. So they're like, hey, if y'all asking us to raise the pay, we're going to raise the skill set level that we demand, for this job. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. So tell us about the variety of services that Pearson Workforce Solutions provide, because I want my audience to know how you can help them as an employee.
Yes, and so we do career development all the way through and through. Okay. I am a recruiter. I've been recruiting for about 8 years now. And one thing that I've enjoyed about recruiting is really the end result. So I've had people come to me and they are entry level. And by the time 5 years down the line, they are in a manager or a leadership position because I didn't just look at their resume and say, oh, okay, well, they're not a good fit in that role. I actually pick up the phone and I have those conversations with them. And so I brought that into a business. And so that's why we have Career Growth Academy, where individuals who are looking for that professional development, they can get that with all of the tools and the techniques that we have in Career Growth Academy. Now, once they're done with Career Growth Academy, we have recruiters that work with me as well, and they are sending your resume out to other employers. They're starting to interview you. There's employers that we work with internally. And so if we have a position that's open, we call you. You're already in our network. We know that you're a solid fit for the position. And we're always looking to start working with more and more recruiters who are needing to fill their roles, so we can get you where you need to be, leaving behind that workplace trauma, or that negative attitude that you had, or that micromanaging, all of those negative things. We work on that in Career Growth Academy. And then when you're done with that, you go roll right over into Pearson Workforce Solutions, which is our recruiting agency, and start working with our recruiters to get you the job. So that's why I say it's the A through Z. We want you to be like coming in with us with all the bad stuff that you left from your last role, and end up smiling and giddy because you got an offer letter that you wasn't expecting. But it worked out because you had that support behind you throughout the process.
So you kind of can help people shortcut the process of getting to the position that they want to by using your services?
Yes. So we don't just use applicant tracking systems. Yes, that's a thing out there. That's the first route usually individuals go towards, but we also use networking. I have built a strong network, which if you are working with me in Career Growth Academy, you get access to my network. I keep a spreadsheet, which hopefully no one ever hacks into, but it has emails, it has phone numbers, it has where people working at certain companies, and things like that I keep track of. And these are individuals I've had conversations with. And now I'm able to share that out with those who are ready to find another position. So that is something that's a part of Career Growth Academy, getting you through to that next level in your career.
That's interesting. She says she has a spreadsheet that'll help you because, a lot of people want to go up the ladder, and we always think hard worker. We're hard workers, that somebody will notice us working hard and then they'll promote us. And it used to be like that, but it's not like that anymore. The workforce has changed how they promote people. And sometimes they're even a spirit of entitlement, like, oh, this person, we're just going to bump them up, not even looking at their skill set or what they're doing, because they're just set in this position. So things have really changed, and your services are very much needed. So let me ask you this. Now, your business is not the usual business a person start. Most people want to be an employee or an entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur who helps people get jobs. So what made you want to get into the job recruiting business? What made you want to make this your business? Like I was telling them before you got on, I was like, she's the first person I ever met that owned a job agency.
Yeah. So what made me want to get into this is I was never good at sales. I was never good at sales. I could not sell you on like a product or a service, but I was good at people. I've always been good at understanding someone. I can interview individuals very well. Like if I'm interviewing for a job, I'm asking you questions that you may not think to someone to ask. And so I started to use those skills and to have a business, to really just focus in on where I've seen out of the hundreds and close to thousands of individuals that I've interviewed, the weakest part someone has is interviewing, right? It's like going on a blind date. You don't know what that conversation is going to lead to. You may get ghosted right after. And so a part of Career Growth Academy and being with Pearson Workforce Solutions, we don't want to ghost you. We want to support you. We want to make sure that you can get to the finish line. And so I took all those skills and me hiring hundreds and thousands of individuals and said, I need to support those people who are struggling with interviewing and making sure that they can get through that first initial conversation, make it through that panel interview, and ultimately get to that offer letter. So that's it's an adrenaline rush for me when someone says, I got the offer. I love that.
You say, I can hear and feel your passion towards your work. When I see young ladies like you that are so passionate about something and you turn it into a business, it's such a blessing, because I've been in my job 20 plus years. And when I could say about 10 of those have been good for me, but the last 10 has come with a sense of dissatisfaction of, okay, I'm a senior employee now. So as you know, with senior employees, it's a little harder for us to move, because if we've been in a company a long time, they look at us and be like, oh, they're doing their job well, we'll just leave them there till they retire. And then by us being older, we really don't want to get back out in that workforce again. So, you know, you have a lot of people that just sit in jobs and just wait for their retirement day. But people like you inspire people like us that, hey, this is not the end of my career. I can link up with Pearson Workforce Solutions. They can get me together, because look, I have not interviewed, I would say, in at least 10 years. I wouldn't even know what to start. You know, if they started asking me questions and stuff, I would just be sitting there like, can I just Google this? Because I don't know the answer to this. You know, I wouldn't even, that's the scariest part for me, is the interview. I got to go back out there. I got to start interviewing. You know, it's like I got to start all over. It's like being in a relationship. Like you compared it to dating. Well, work is like a relationship with us. I've been with this company for so long. I know this company. I know the culture and everything. And for me to get out there and start all over again, and I don't know if I'm going to get a good boss, or at least if I have a bad boss, I at least know my job. But a bad boss and not know your job, that's a lot of stress. So how do you help somebody, a senior employee like me, to get back out there? I know this is not on our question list, but we talking, girl.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I'm interviewing you now. Let's see how quick you are on your toes.
yeah. So go ahead. I love the questions. So like when I'm a planner. Like in my daily life, I am planning things out. I use different planning tools and techniques to make sure that I know what's going to be happening within that term of me transitioning out of or doing anything. So I take that same type of mentality into my coaching. So if I get, let's say, a senior individual who's looking to transition, first we have to talk about what your options are. What are you now passionate about? It is okay to change careers like 2, 3, 4 times. It is okay to do it. If you've started out in nursing and then now you're like, I want to be a painter, well, then you can be a painter, right? If you want to be an actress, or something's in the air. If you want to like transition in your career because your life has transitioned, then let's plan for that and what that looks like for you, because you know that well, I'm not going to say everyone knows this, but there is when you transition, you are going to miss out on something. Right? It's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. It might be a salary cut. It may be a move to another location. There will be a change that is going to affect your life long term when you make that transition. And so we have those discussions. We plan out if you can stay in your role for the next 4 months and apply for the positions that you're interested in and start interviewing. And, we do a new personality test. There's a lot of different techniques that I use to make sure that you're going in the right direction. So if you were an extrovert and you loved working with marketing and all of that, client relations, but now you're tired of working so closely with people and you want to do something where now you're in a cubicle all day or at your home, in your home office all day, then what does that look like in you making that transition? So those are things that we do. And average time for someone that works with me is about 3 to 4 months before they land a new role. Sometimes it may take a little bit longer for those senior roles like directors, C-suite, things like that, because it is more interview processes that they have to go through. But yeah, I hope that answers that question a little bit.
It do. So explain to the audience what C-suite is. They may not know.
Okay, C-suite is executive level role. So that's chief of anything. Directors are considered C-suite in a lot of organizations, depending on what their hierarchy rank is. So they may have just a founder who is the CEO, and then underneath them are all directors, or they just may have all their chiefs of staff or chiefs of operations that they work together. So that's usually the bosses people. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because C-suite is actually a term I just started hearing like this year. So I was like, it might be some people out there that's, not familiar with what C-suite is. Because I think I was on an interview with somebody and they were like, I'm at a C-suite level. And I was like, let me Google that. I was like, oh, okay, I know. So can you tell us 3 things a job seeker should do to get their resume noticed? But just before that, something just popped in my mind where you said it was okay to change jobs. And like, for us that are like, I would say about 40 and over, we were always taught to get one job and just stick with that job till you retire. But things were different because you got a pension back then. So now you don't have that pension. And I think that's why a lot of millenniums or younger people would say 30 on down, they switch jobs in a minute. But for us, it was like that pension tied us there. So you don't think it looks bad, since we're talking about a resume, you don't think it looks bad on your resume that you worked here 6 months and you worked there a year?
No, if you are the average time frame is 2 to 5 years at an organization.
Okay.
That keeps you on the job market, the pay rates and things like that. That keeps you always current with what the market is when it comes to salary. After that or before that, it can look like job hopping. If you're at a job 6 months, that really does look like job hopping. So that 2 to 5 years, that gives you enough time to learn the position, grow in that role, and gain the knowledge that you need. And as well as if you're on a career path, if you are someone that likes to plan out your life goals, that 2 to 5 years gives you the opportunity to complete a major certification or training or get that extra degree that you're looking for while working in that particular role. So that way you are ready for what's that next position. So yeah, staying within that buffer years time is really helpful.
That's good. That's good to know, because I always thought, because I used to, interview people and kind of make the decision as hiring, and I used to look at the resume and I would look for how long, if you had skipped around or you had this job, had that. But that was like back in the 90s. Don't tell nobody. 80s, 90s, the 90s. Yeah. So tell us the 3 things a job seeker should do to get their resume noticed.
First thing is aesthetics, okay? Thinking about what people look at nowadays. If you are looking at a social media page, right? It's the aesthetics that attracts you to them. It's what they post up there. So it is okay to add, to be a little creative. When I say creative, I mean keeping your font still clear and noticeable for the applicant tracking system. But you may add a strip of color, right? Maybe you might add a strip of orange to break down every single section on there. So aesthetically is one thing, and that incorporates your layout as well. Secondly, I see a lot of people who don't have summary sections. They don't have their key accomplishments. They don't have their technical skills up there. Those extra categories make a big, big difference when it comes to the applicant tracking systems and when someone reads your resume. So if they were to do a LinkedIn, there's LinkedIn Recruiter. So if they were to do a filter search on Salesforce and I'm gonna say project manager, and you don't have Salesforce and your technical proficiencies, a section on your resume, then you're not gonna pop up at all. So definitely those extra categories do make a big difference, and you wanna make sure that they're updated skills as well that pertain to your industry. And then lastly, only use Word doc, okay? I see people use PNG, PDF, things like that. Your resume should always be Word doc generated. It will be easy for you to, so let's say applicant tracking systems, it's AI, okay? It's a robot that ranks you. And the best way for that robot to rank you is using a Word documentation, whether it's Google Word or whatever, Microsoft Word, whichever, has to be that. On LinkedIn as well, you can upload your Word document version of your resume to your profile. It's going to now optimize your profile as well. So making sure that your resume is Word doc makes a big difference when it comes to the technology piece of hiring.
So in your resume, you're really concentrating on the technology piece of what the applicant tracking system will pick up, pull from your resume. So you need to have keywords, you need to have key descriptions and key job descriptions too. That's what I picked up from what you just said. And so we don't think about it. We just think about make sure we don't have any spelling errors and we got this right and all that, not understanding there needs to be certain words that they will pick up and certain words that recruiters are looking for. So thank you for that. So Liddy, this is the time during our show when we have a break. So I'm gonna give a 1 minute break, and so you get to pitch to us, show us, how we should be talking to people, pulling in them customers. Even though you said you're not a salesperson, you're already selling me on your services. You sell yourself well. Very well. So I'm gonna take a 1 minute break, and so while you do your 1 minute pitch, I'm gonna go online, see what everybody is saying, and then we're gonna come back. And if y'all got questions, hurry up and type them in right now. You got 40 seconds to type them in. All right, Miss Liddy, you go ahead and blow our minds.
Okay, all right, awesome. So like I mentioned before, I want to bridge the gap in communication between the candidate and employer. And people think when you are transitioning into your career that you don't need the support of a career coach. You can get your therapist and they're going to help you through the process, but they are not what a coach does. A coach is someone that is in your corner, backing you up. They're supporting you, they're guiding you, they're making sure that you have clarity along your path, right? And so even though I do career coaching, it turns into life coaching sometimes. It turns into me helping you through several different situations in your life because you have that person that's going to be there to support you along in your journey. So Career Growth Academy is where I have conversations. We have something called a study hall that is on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. if you're part of Career Growth Academy, and you can join in on our conversations. We have realistic conversations with job seekers in our Zoom calls about where they're going through in their careers, and having that coach beside you that's like Tom Brady, and I forgot the coach that he has. He didn't do it by himself. He had someone in his corner, in his ear every single game to get him to where he is. And if he wouldn't have that coach, he would not have been able to make it as far as he has. So that's what I do. I want to be in your ear, coaching you through every part of this professional growth that you're going through. And then, we'll see what happens at the end. Usually it's an offer letter. Okay. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
I love that. It's an offer letter. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for an offer letter just to be excited and to make you excited. So I forgot to remind you in the beginning to share this on your page. So I went out there and shared it on your page so that
Okay.
also your people can see you as you being interviewed. So let's see. We have Daphne Phillip in the house. Hey, Daphne, Dr. Daphne. She said, I recommend her to anyone that needs a career coach. She listened to your heart and not just your words. And I picked that up from you that you when you said you are a people person, it's not about the money. Let me just bring them through my academy. Let me just get them a job. You really want people to be placed at what they do. Because a lot of times we figure like, okay, work is just work. If you like it, you don't like it. It's just what it is. You just do it to make the money. But it is people that are satisfied in their careers that they've found. Some people, their calling is the workplace. And for some people, it's not, it's entrepreneurship. Yours is like kind of both because yours is to be an entrepreneur, but then it is the workplace too because you putting people in the workplace. So you got a split. What would I say? A split calling. So,
Mhm.
hey, Dr. Daphne, thank you so much for the kind words. Kimberly
Yes.
is out there. Good evening. And Chris Ann is out there. Hi, Chris Ann. How's she doing? Oh, Dr. Daphne says that you're her coach.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow. Now that is amazing. Totally amazing. So thank you. Thank you so much for that pitch. You just teaching us how important it is to land the right spot in the workplace. I think
Mhm.
if you are in your right spot, your gifts are being used like they should be used. And so hey everyone, she gave us a wonderful pitch. She blew our minds. Thank you for the comments. Please share. If you're out there, share. Don't be selfish. And guess what? It's free to share. Facebook has not started charging us to share, so take advantage of that free. I'm all about the free, Liddy. I'm telling you, at work, if
Yes.
something free, I'm getting it, even if I don't like it. I'm like, okay, they're giving away free liver. I'm getting in line because it's free. So
Exactly.
usually on the second part of our show, we kind of shift a little bit. So we're going to
Mhm.
shift a little bit and really talk about some of the workplace issues, some of the things that's going on in the workplace that people are not having conversations about.
Mhm.
So one is there are a lot of powerful minorities in the workforce. I know I work with them. I've had them as managers. I've had conversations with them. And the common thing is they talk about how they have to work harder and longer to achieve leadership position. Like other non-minorities, they can do 2 years worth of work and get the position. But then the minorities have to do like 5 years worth of work, get the certification, have the higher degree. So tell us your views or statistics on this, because we talked about this a little bit. So I just want you to kind of go over our conversation a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So it is a lot harder for minorities, especially women, and to get to the roles that they most desire. So if you're aiming for a director role, add on a couple of the years to your goals. But while you're doing that, make sure that you're focusing in on what's important to you, not just that position. Okay, you're gonna get there. So set some boundaries, right, with yourself on where your professional goals are. If you don't see yourself with that company for 5 years, then don't try to force yourself to stay somewhere where you're not happy or comfortable. Um, so this may be a little controversial statement here, but there is no such thing as being overwhelmed, but there is a such thing as not setting workplace boundaries. So when you are working in a particular position and you have stacks and stacks of paper on your desk, but no one else does, you forgot to set boundaries from the time that you walked in that door until at that point. And that is not what people in leadership do. They set boundaries with those higher ups. They set boundaries to let them know that I'm capable of doing these things, but I'm not going to do everything. There are other people that can do the job just as good as I can. So it starts with setting those boundaries. I would never want to walk into an office building and be the first Black person in a position. Like I think that's like a sin or something. You don't ever want to be the first Black person to work at a company, you never want to be the first Black person or first Black person to work in a new position that's never been made before. It's just like saying, I'm going to now start baking and I've never baked before, right? Like you don't know how to, if you don't know how to bake, you can't bake me some cookies and not expect them to be burnt. You've never made cookies before. So don't be the first in a role. If you are going into technology, I've never been, and people know this about me, I've had very controversial statements about it, but I knew from the beginning of 2020 when technology started to take over that it was not going to be sustainable. And a lot of the women that I work with, they have backgrounds further deeper than technology. And so I encourage them to go into sustainable companies that have longevity, that have positions that have been around for 10, 20 years, and they're not the first person in that role. They may be the first Black woman in that role or the first minority in that role, but that's not a new position that the company's never had before. So they're not going to be the first to go, right? That like ultimately you don't want to be the last one in and the first one to leave. So it's really back around to setting those boundaries with yourself, making sure that when you go into a position that you're ready for it, and you don't overwhelm yourself, and through that process. So hopefully that answered the question there, but I want minorities to feel safe when they go into the workplace and know that even though I'm coaching you to get to that job, that you still can call on me even after the fact and say, hey, Liddy, I'm in this role now and they're asking me to do things that weren't on my job description. They're asking me now to, take on an additional task. It's okay if you're looking to cross-train, but that needs to be a conversation that is had. I want to be cross-trained to now be in this role within a time frame, right? And don't take nobody's word without writing it down, because they will say, hey, yeah, we can cross-train you on this role and you do all these different tasks. But then a year later, you're still doing the task, but you don't have the position. So make sure those boundaries are clear lines and you write down that communication and that you continue to grow without overwhelming yourself. So, yeah.
I like what you said. You said, basically, if a person is overwhelmed, they have not set boundaries. And I think as minorities, we get scared to stand up for ourselves because we still have in the back of our mind, I've been given an opportunity, not understanding that we did the work to get the opportunity. We feel like it's a favor that we got this job. And so we're scared to stand up for ourselves. And like you said, we're scared to speak about our accomplishments, to come off as super confident. So we come off a little, how can I put it, a little humble, like I'm just so grateful that I'm here in this interview, when actually you're the prize. It's kind of like you said, we have to look at it as a relationship. So if I'm the woman, I'm the prize, So I'm going to say, hey, look, this is what you're getting. You're getting a woman that can do this, that comes with this skill set and that. But we don't. We hold back. And then what they put on the table, we take. I have a friend, she works in recruiting for her job in HR. And she said most of the time, minorities don't push back on that offer. They take the first offer. And she was like, we have a scale where we can go up. But if you just take that offer, we just going to give it to you. So why do you think we as minorities don't push as hard for that extra when we're in the interview and they put down that job offer, that we don't give them that pushback, or we don't push our accomplishment as much as non-minorities do?
Yeah, because it is that fear of am I aiming too high? Do I know my worth? Like, am I worthy of the number that I'm thinking about? And a lot of times I will tell someone, especially when you're doing that pre-screening nowadays, right? So there's pre-screening, then there's the actual interview, and then there's the hiring manager or the direct manager, and then there might be a few other interviews in between. So I tell individuals, when you're in that pre-screening, you say, what is the market rate? That you're comfortable with the market rate for that position. Now, at that point, they may push, in the screening, they may push and push and push. Well, we need a number, and you continue to push back. What is your range? What is your range? I need to know what your numbers are. And then you say, when they give you that range, then you say, I'm comfortable with that range. You don't ever have to tell them an actual number. That range that you are given, tell them, yes, I'm good with that range. If it's still below your range that you're looking for, still look for it, continue looking for another position. But our white counterparts, I don't want to make this a whole racial thing, but it's a fact. They know how to push back. I've worked with executives before, and they want, for a position that's maybe paying $120,000, and they're like, oh, no, that's way too low for me. I want 160. And then we're like, okay, 160. And then they get in that role. And then the crazy thing is they suck.
She said they suck.
They suck, so they just overconfident about it.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, oh, I did this, I did that, like, it's just some type of swagger about them. But you have to have that same swagger about you, right? You walk into that interview and you turn on that camera for your interview. You need to be prepared to drop down gems and just keep popping them. They brag like you ain't never bragged before. Okay. And it may come across as for your perspective, right? Like a woman's perspective, it may come across as cocky or, like I'm selling myself too much. But honestly, you have to sell yourself, because that 28-year-old millennial who thinks that he is like worth everything, he is selling himself and he's lying through his teeth. So why do you sell yourself and be telling the complete truth? So it is, put yourself in that shoe, and the right companies will go for the right individuals. They know now that Black women are a hot commodity. When you have other women in leadership, companies have thrived because they put women in leadership. So if you see that you might be the first woman in that role and there is no other anyone that same skin color as you or any diversity there at all, you know that when you go into that interview, you're going to have to be the cockiest thing running. Okay. You got to sell yourself and you got to laugh with them and you got to let them talk, and no personalities even through the phone. So it's definitely a learning curve to do that though.
Wow. It's a lot. Like you said, we as minorities really have to sell ourselves, but as Black women, we don't want to come off as that angry Black woman, that too assertive Black women, because honestly, we have kind of like marketed ourselves as, because we, like I told you, we hear it all the time when something happened. Oh, if that had been a sister, she'd have took care of that. A sister wouldn't have, she would have went for that and all that, not knowing that we're putting out this image about ourselves. Yes, we're no nonsense in a lot of areas. We don't play. We're cut and dry as A and B, but we want our job employer to see us that we're also flexible, that we also have a heart, and we are like this because of our environment. Like when I lived in Mississippi, and me living here in Detroit, it's two different cultures. Mississippi, you can walk around, hey, how you doing? All this. But up here in Detroit, I have to have my game face. Don't mess with me. Don't come for me, because I have something for. If I'm walking around, hey, they're going to rob me. They're going to carjack me. I'm a victim. But in Mississippi, I can be like that because most of the people are like that, friendly and outgoing. So we have to be a certain way as Black women because of our culture. We have to take care of this. We have to take care of the family. It's a lot of single mothers out there. So you can't be weak. Like me, I've lived by myself ever since I was 19. So if I get married and a husband come in, it's going to be different for me. He's going to be like, you're just so independent. I have to be independent. If I was dependent, I couldn't live by myself. I couldn't take care of myself. So I think jobs need to look at us and say, these um minorities are strong like this because of their environment. But when it comes to the job, they're going to be on it. We're going to do what we got to do because that's how our life has been. We have to do what we have to do to survive. And so when you put us in a role, we take it to heart. But like you said, we get overwhelmed because we're doing too much. We're trying to overprove ourselves. So you're right. I was at a point where I had a manager and I was basically being a manager. She would leave. I was there to 6 and 7 o'clock, supposed to got off at 4. All her people came to me. Everything stopped at me. She didn't have to worry about the issues, the day-to-day stuff. But then I'm beginning to realize like she get paid for this. I'm not getting paid for this. She put me in a role as a team leader, but I didn't have the title. I had a title as a team leader. I didn't have the salary as a team leader. I didn't have the grade as a team leader. So when the next manager came in, guess what she did? Oh, I got this. You do nothing. So she basically demoted me, but she couldn't demote me because I never was officially in the role. So I get what you say. They can give us roles, give us jobs, and they give us promises, but they don't come through on it. So how do you handle something like that? How do you, if your boundaries have been crossed, how do you set them up again?
So when you are in a position and you're trying to reestablish those boundaries, have meetings with more than one person. So you have your direct supervisor, maybe you have someone from HR, usually that HRBP, and you set that conversation up. That's what that HRBP is for. They are there to be that mediator between you and the company. If they don't have the HRBP, they might have a person that's in the DEI team, depending on what the company model is. But you need to start to establish those boundaries with the mediator in the middle of that conversation. And then have a follow-up email ready to be sent out. Don't do it with the intention of being emotional behind your responses. Set clear goals for yourself and what you want to see from the company, from your manager, or whatever that your particular direct supervisor is. Set those clear goals and have that conversation. And then once again, sit down, talk to your coach, talk to me, give me a call and say, hey, Liddy, I'm ready to have this conversation with my manager. I need a little bit of support to make sure that I'm going in there with a clear mind and not going there with emotions attached to it. Okay. Tell a quick story here. I had a director. He was maybe at the company about 4 months. Out of the short term, it was a technology company earlier this year that I was working with. And he wasn't my direct supervisor, but he didn't recognize some of the things that I was doing, some of the accolades, right? He would say, oh, Liddy, we need to have you do this, that, and the third. And, we need to have this completed on time and blah, 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 like all these extra little tasks, right? But this man was in Italy. He was in Rome. He was at a wedding. He was doing all these other things. But then when it comes to my performance review, he says, well, I think you can improve on these particular areas. And so, okay. At that point, I am the person that's like, well, I think you can improve on a couple of things as well. So that's when I pulled the HRBP, pulled my manager in, and without emotion attached to it, had a serious conversation on the accomplishments and the accolades that I've completed in the short term that he was there, even before and after. And that conversation ended with, well, Liddy, you'll be a great leader one day. That's what he said. You'll be a great leader one day. He had nothing else to say because I went in there with clear intentions on me knowing what I am capable of, what I have done, and not with my emotion behind it. And being all teary-eyed because he's, the feedback or whatever. And so that's just an example of how I've been able to live it and then be able to tell other individuals, this is how you can approach the conversation with those leadership individuals. And then, you can kind of just take the conversation, but you need to have someone in your corner that can say, what are you really upset about in this role? What are you really, what are you really concerned with that you're not getting from the company that you're working with. Is it really the company, or is it a particular person? And that's an interview question as well. Have you ever had a conflict with someone that you worked with in your previous at your previous jobs? That is a conversation, right? So you can take that, and now you know how to respond to it because you have, and you've resolved the situation easily. So just putting them both two and two together, it works.
Wow. So thank you so much, Liddy. Thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. So I hope somebody out there really helped you, because I know a few people that are in job transition looking for new jobs. And I pray that she gave you the tools that you needed to move, to get out your comfort zone, because it is scary. The change is scary, especially when you've been in a company for so long. And so we look at where we're moving to as it being worse when it could possibly be better. So Liddy, if you would give us a 1-minute close, and then I'll come back and I'll close out. I just wanted to have a little longer conversation because you were good, girl. But give us a 1-minute close. Make sure you put your contact information. Make sure.
Yes. So I have November specials right now. So I'll go ahead and tell them really quickly. Career Growth Academy. We are an open enrollment right now, open enrollment season, which is, like a school or whatnot. So if you are a job seeker, you're looking to make a transition, you can be a part of Career Growth Academy. It is $75 a month. You get 2 one-on-one 45-minute sessions with me a month, and you get the weekly group study hall. We call it study hall. It's academy. It works well together. You are guaranteed to get a role within 4 months. Okay, within 4 months. If not, then you get you get your money back. Okay. But my results stand still. I've been able to get individuals in for that time, as well as we also have Bring a Friend as well. So that is it's $222. And you and a friend of yours can get 2 of the platinum packages with a resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile for that price. And that also includes access to Career Growth Academy, which is just the online, which is the course. Otherwise, if you want to reach me, you can find me on any of my social media platforms as Liddy Millennial Recruiter or Liddy Pearson. And I pop up, you will see my beautiful smile. Definitely check out my Instagram page. I have a lot of informational reels and videos that I put up there, and follow me on LinkedIn. Those are the 2 places that I sit almost every day. So send me a message, let's chat. Any discovery call with me, it is free. So we can have a 30-minute call and get some clarity and then take it to the next level. But yep, that's me.
I like that's me. I like Liddy. So if you look up in the posting section of this Facebook post, you'll see all her information, her LinkedIn page, her social media. Go to her LinkedIn page, and I forgot the other page. The one link.
Oh, I have my website as well that's attached.
Okay, everything's there. Okay, go look up there. It just went out my mind. But anyway, thank you so much, Liddy, for this conversation that we had tonight. And I want to thank Daphne for the connection. It was an awesome connection. So I just want to just briefly summarize. So tonight we learned that the keywords in your resume are very important, that there are I almost would call them robots, almost electronic robots that's out there searching for certain words, and then recruiters are searching for certain words. But I want you to know, if you're having issues on your job, most of the time we fear HR because we feel like when we bring HR in, that it's a possibility that somebody's going to get fired, somebody's going to get rolled up or get in trouble. But HR can be there as you advocate for yourself, as your witness, as you advocate for yourself. So I want to thank Liddy for sharing that with us, because like I said, sometimes we have a fear of bringing HR in. So sometimes some common problems that we've been having for years, only thing we needed to do was to have a conversation without the emotions. Because sometimes by the time we get to that point, we are emotional, we're mad, we're angry, and it comes across. They see it in our body language, they hear it in our tone. But have that conversation when you see your boundaries are being crossed, and have boundaries at the workplace. Just because they pay you money every month does not mean you do everything. The CEO doesn't do everything. If he did, we wouldn't have a job. So I want to thank you, Liddy, so much. I want to thank you for stepping out on faith and starting this agency, not just staying an employer, but also being an employee, but also being an employer. You're employing people and you're helping people get the job that fits them. You care about the people. So everybody that watched, thank you so much. And if you just came in, it's still not too late to share this video. They can watch the pound replay, the hashtag replay. There you go. Hashtag replay. Yeah, I got it. I got it. All right, Miss Liddy, thank you so much for being on the Ruby Girl Talk. We're always open.
Thank you.
Anytime you want to come back, y'all take advantage of them offers. I tell you all the time, free is fabulous. Okay. All right, y'all. I will be back next week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Facebook Live on Zoom, zooming with y'all for the Ruby Girl Talk. Go to rubygirl.net. And oh, I got an announcement. November the 18th at 7 p.m. You want to sign up to be part of the Ruby Girl versus the Island Girls. So it's going to be me and three fantastic dynamic speakers. We're going to be going against that spirit of self-sabotage, which Miss Liddy is kind of connecting with how people self-sabotage themselves on the jobs, like not having boundaries. So we're going to help you defeat the enemy, give him not one black eye, but two black eyes, because we're going to be sharing things that's going to make you powerful, Full, full of power. You're already full of it. We're going to pull it out of you, and we're going to help you to stop that self-sabotaging thought pattern and speech pattern. And we're going to help you set standards in your life that the enemy cannot get past anymore. We're going to break that cycle that you've been in over and over. So just go to Eventbrite, type in Ruby Girls versus Island Girls, and it should pop up. The tickets are a $20 investment, a little bitty investment, y'all, but it's going to change your life. November the 18th, which is a Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, all right, y'all. Talk to you later. Thank you, Miss Liddy. You have a great and fantastic day. Bye-bye, everyone.